Well, let's move on now to our focus report, which takes us to India this Friday. The nation has one of the largest rail networks in the world, ferrying over 23 million people a day on 19,000 trains that run on tracks that extend across 70,000 miles. But this mass transit system is also the deadliest in the world. Thousands of people are killed each year in train accidents nationwide. Decrepit tracks and centuries-old infrastructure aside, as a rule, Indian trains are grossly overloaded. People can often be killed falling off overcrowded trains or crossing the tracks. Others are charred to death by high-voltage electrical wires while perched on coach roofs. The network has a dreadful safety record. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has made rail safety a priority and promised to invest $100 billion over the next 5 years to help the creaking network improve its terrible safety record.
The scene is the same at Noli station every morning. Thousands throng the platform waiting for the solitary train that will take them to the capital, New Delhi, where most of them work.
When I get on this train, I put my life in the hands of God and the other passengers.
Finally, the train arrives and there's a mad rush to board.
Let's go, get on.
One person dies in a train-related injury here every 12 days. Some fall off moving trains, others are electrocuted as they hang on for their lives. It is considered one of India's deadliest rail lines.
Some young boys helped me to climb on board. The government should consider building larger wagons. Sometimes even women have to hang on outside to make the trip.
For Akhileshwar Tyagi, accidents are a daily reality.
I've been travelling on this train since 2005. I've seen hundreds of people die on this line and many left disabled.
India's rail network, spanning 70,000 miles, is one of the largest in the world. It is also one of the most dangerous. In 2014, 24,000 people died in train accidents. On an average, 15,000 lives are lost every year. The government itself has called it India's annual massacre.
Why can the governments of the day not treat safety of passengers as a dominant issue?
At the front line of the battle against derailments are a group of 200,000 workers called gangmen. Every morning, gangmen across India set out to survey the tracks, carrying little more than old-fashioned manual tools.
These tools weigh 30 kilos.
Theirs is a dangerous job. Many gangmen are frequently injured or electrocuted during the course of their work. Abhay Khanna has served as their chief supervisor for nearly 2 decades now.
The main job of the gangmen is to keep the tracks in good working order because so many trains travel on them every day, so the tracks are worn down. It's a daily job. If they don't do it, then the number of train wrecks and accidents will multiply.
Despite a serious lack of modern technology, the gangmen have often helped to prevent accidents due to their foresight and clear understanding of India's dilapidated network.
This train line's in a bad way. We know that millions of passengers depend on us. If we do our work properly, they reach their destination safely.
A large portion of the country's tracks are over a century old, and their maintenance, upkeep and replacement is a full-time job. A job that's taken on a great urgency in recent years as India angles to introduce high-speed and bullet trains. At this factory in the North Indian state of Punjab, efforts are underway to build faster, safer trains.
This is one of the safety features, an advanced smoke detector. If fire or smoke is detected anywhere in the coaches, this alarm will go off and automatic brakes will kick in. In this way, the passengers are alerted straight away to the situation.
But even as the trains get faster and safer, the tracks they run on continue to remain old and dilapidated. As the manager of the factory points out, newer trains are only part of the solution.
Take, for example, our train tracks in Kashmir. We can't run high-speed trains there. There are too many curves and the tracks have been worn down. We'll have to upgrade them. We have to renovate our railways, but with the network spreading over 65,000 kilometers, we can't possibly change all the tracks in one single day.
Successive Indian governments have tried and failed to modernize this massive network. But Prime Minister Modi's push to invest $100 billion towards upgradation indicates a more hopeful future.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined by my guest, economist Catherine Brosse, who specialises in development issues in India. Hello, thank you for being with us in the studio.
Hello.
Why has this issue first been put off for so long?
I mean, as you said, the investment that has to be undertaken is massive. Plus, it's under a lot of pressure due to the growth in urban population and growth in population in general. So the effort that has been dedicated in this year's union budget is very large. It's 18 billion euros for this year. It's part of a 3-year plan, which is about 130 billion euros. So it's a massive investment. And it's really needed because security is a big issue, and it's the first time that the government is dedicated a special security fund dedicated to railways. So this investment is really geared towards ensuring security. But the second challenge that the railways is facing is the growth in traffic, and that initiative is stumbling against many problems related to land acquisition, for instance, to ecologist opposition. So it's very difficult to increase traffic, which is really one of the issues that should be emphasized as well.
And how long might it take to tackle this issue at this stage? I mean, as you said, there's constant pressure on the networks. You can't add trains that easily. So how long can it take to actually find solutions to this problem?
Well, probably one of the solutions might be to increase the networks. I mean, there are some points where the traffic is really slow, such as when you go from suburban areas to the center of the cities, and we're talking about Indian cities, so very big cities. Whereas, the network is very dense because every little town has its own train station. But then perhaps it might be a good idea to shift traffic towards the urban areas, which needs it dramatically. I mean, if you watch the picture of the trains going from suburban Mumbai to central Mumbai, it's crowded is clearly an understatement.
And is there a plan of a program of urban planification to go along with that?
India has not been developing too much urban planification. I mean, it's facing a lot of issues to construct a proper urban planification. I mean, in urban cities, basic services are not up to the task, such as electricity, sewage, water, etc., and transportation is part of that. So they're facing big issues there. I mean, some estimates are that India should spend 8 times more to reach China's level of infrastructure. So there's a lot to be done there, and there is another estimate by McKinsey that assumes to reach international standard in urban infrastructure, India probably needs to spend $1.2 trillion until 2030. So it's a massive investment, because it has to cope with urban growth, which is major, and it should be reminded that within 10 years there will be twice the U.S. population living in Indian cities, and a quarter of this urban population lives in slums. So it's very difficult to construct a proper urban planning there.
That's right, because we're talking also about a poor population using these trains. Might bringing in new trains also hike up prices for people who are using these trains?
For the time being, the prices, I mean, you've got a full range of prices because you've got 6 classes. You've got various sorts of trains. You have express trains, you have slow trains, etc. So it's very affordable for the poor as it is because it's highly subsidized by the freight. So increasing the prices is difficult in the sense that traveling by train is very important, including for the poor. So it's an arbitrage that needs to be made here because, indeed, prices are very low. But at the same time, it's a very important means of transportation for the poor. So there might be an arbitrage there.
And do other means of transport need to be considered? For example, are the roads safe? Could there be more buses? This sort of thing.
Well, the money that has been earmarked in the union budget is half dedicated to railways, but half of it is dedicated to other infrastructure, including roads. So roads are sometimes in poor condition, but if you're asking me, is it dangerous to travel on Indian roads, I will tell you it's mostly related to the way people drive. And the infrastructure is part of that, but not only.
Thank you very much for having spoken to us, Catherine Bourse.